For all you podcast viewers, I'm recording and transcribing this podcast live, the app called FlowNote.
Yes. Plug.
You're
plugging within the
FlowNote.
first 30 seconds of the
Zoom in
pod.
on this clip. Yeah.
FlowNote
Look,
AI.
it records. You can put your phone to sleep and it'll record everything.
Perfect.
There we go.
So, hold on. I just want to make sure I hit the button. Sometimes you space, you know?
That'd be bad.
All right. So what's up, dudes?
What's up?
Welcome to Modern Leverage. Your second time
Yeah.
on the show.
Leverage.
Yep.
Your first time. We just met this morning.
Yes, sir.
But you got some cool shit happening.
Thank you.
Cool
thank
shit
you.
that is like relatable, honestly, to like everybody who's trying to build stuff in tech needs distribution. And you have like the cool new thing that everybody wants to do, I think. So yeah, let's want to just talk about it. Like,
Yeah, we can get right into it.
yeah. How did you, well, actually you guys both sort of like started this thing together because we use your strategy on his app, right? So want to talk through, how that all came about. Like, what is it that you're working on? And how did you guys decide to, launch it? Give me the step-by-step and then talk about like the case study with FlowNote.
Sure. Where do you want to start?
Dude, we could start really far back, or we could start like pretty soon. What do you think?
Honestly, we should start from the origin, which actually was
Yeah.
this podcast.
Oh, really?
So the first time I came on this podcast, FlowNote was just chilling, doing okay. And after the podcast, we had talked about it and it was like, wow, like what am I actually doing? Like I should outsource marketing and like get it going. And so that's the whole origin of how honestly PlayKit kind of came to be.
It kind of starts like even earlier than that.
Further back, yeah.
So
Okay,
basically,
so it's further
so like if you want to go from the beginning, around this time last year, me and Caleb moved out to California to work on a consumer app called The Week.
Called The Week?
The Week, yeah.
Okay.
It was essentially a social calendar. So you could like sync up calendars with your friends, and then you could like figure out what the best times to hang out were. So like a super passive way to schedule things. The app got built like relatively quickly, like in a matter of like a month, honestly, maybe a month and a half.
As
But
it should be, right?
yeah. And
Actually, a year ago, that's like impressive.
yeah, I
Now
mean,
it's like
we had two engineers, so it was Caleb and then another friend.
Okay.
But yeah, we like quickly realized that building the app wasn't necessarily like the challenge. The challenge was distribution. And I think this is maybe just like an arc that all like first time consumer builders kind of have to go through. But you like get to a point where you're like, fuck dude, like now how do I like actually get people to sign up for the app? And so yeah, we like tried doing TikTok. We had no idea what we were doing and I just couldn't figure it out. And essentially the app died because we just could not figure out the right distribution channel. Okay, fast forward like a couple months ago now. Me and Caleb essentially saw an opportunity to build a library for content, essentially. So imagine if you could have like a consolidated library of every single consumer app and like all the videos that they're pushing out.
Oh, okay.
So that you can essentially just like steal and copy what formats are working for like what verticals, right?
Yeah.
So a library for content. Me and Caleb were like, okay, dope. Like, let's do that. And we like quickly learned from Cormac at the time that maybe the secret sauce was like figure out distribution first and then build the product. And so that's kind of what we did. We kind of came up with this whole game plan of like, okay, we're going to like start on Twitter. That's going to be like our main channel. We're going to build up some like authority in like the marketing space. And then like a newsletter kind of came with that. And so like the ball kind of started rolling.
Wait, can we back up and talk about that, that product that you were just discussing?
Yeah.
Did that go anywhere?
No. So essentially our deal was I was going to build up the platform. I was going to build up the following. And then once we hit like a milestone, Kale was going to build it because he's a tech guy. I'm not a tech
I see what
guy.
you're saying. You're running like the marketing first playbook to see if there's
Exactly.
demand
Yeah.
for this sort of, this like, what is it? It's just like it would like a database of videos and like their performance.
Viral videos, yeah. So essentially the way we had planned for it to work is like say you have an app that is like a finance consumer app.
Yeah.
You could go on and like search consumer finance apps and you would see all like the viral trending brands, like consumer finance brands on TikTok, and you would see all their videos that they're posting and like the best performing ones. And the idea is you can reference these viral videos and formats, learn from them, and then launch your own, right? Like,
Okay.
it's like a tool. It's like a research tool for
tool.
people who want to go viral.
I just want to pause right there because we built something for our company called Right Hook, where we basically, you can take any Instagram or TikTok video, ingest it, and then like change the hook to format for your particular brand. So it's like,
Ah,
hey, this format seems to be working for like whatever hair care
interesting.
stuff.
Yeah.
Let's use it for makeup. And you just like steal the hook and you get the hook and you like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
content repurposing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the whole game. Just repurpose
So anyway,
content that
That
way.
was
Yeah.
that was
that's
the
still an
concept.
awesome idea. But so the marketing first strategy didn't quite work there, but you landed on something else.
Well, so it
Well, it
actually
did.
did work. It actually did
Oh,
work.
okay.
So quickly, the newsletter got to like 1,000 subs in like a matter of a couple weeks. The Twitter channel was like kind of blowing up. And so like we were primed to like, launch something in the space, and like we were going to have people to just like sign up. But that was kind of around the same time that FlowNote started taking off too. And
It is.
so, yeah, we basically like just ran into a conundrum where, he had to figure out if he wanted to go full time on FlowNote or like full time on PlayKit. And essentially, long story short, he ended up focusing on PlayKit or on FlowNote. And then I started focusing on PlayKit. And so I just decided, let me just like focus on this newsletter. Let me just focus on like still growing the Twitter. And then, maybe we could just like outsource the development overseas. And around that time, I like got a new follower called Julia. She ended up being a content creator who was just like absolutely cracked at what she does.
Yeah.
And then that's like when Caleb reached out to me to figure out if there's like a content creator I knew. I connected him with Julia, and then they kind of started like taking off. And then around that time, I was like, damn, like what they're doing is like super in demand. And like, I know like 10 founders like right off of my fingers that like I could count that would actually like want this and pay for this like, right away. Cause like I'd always get DMs of people like, yo, do you do content creation yourself? Do you do strategy? Can I just set up a consultation call? And, there's just like a lot of demand, which just proved that, there's obviously something here. But I just didn't have like the bandwidth to necessarily serve like everybody.
Yeah.
And so as like a non-tech guy, I'm like trying to figure out, okay, what could I like build essentially to, solve some of the problems? And that's like when essentially I like talked to Julie and I was like, dude, I know the people, you're awesome at the strategy. Like, what if we join forces and like try to do something here? So the first product we actually launched was just a paid subscription to this newsletter that I was already working on.
Okay.
Essentially what the paid version of the newsletter contained was CapCut templates of trending formats with like a list of all the songs, a list of all the hooks. Basically like an MVP to like what the library was originally going to be, but like in a newsletter. And we launched that on Twitter, and then like within 24 hours, like we hit 1K like MRR.
Oh, really?
And we're like, shit, okay, this is dope. Like people are willing to pay for it now. Okay.
There's so much demand. Like you guys are hacking distribution.
We're
which
hacking.
is
We're
so
totally
cool.
hacking. Just trying to figure out like how much are people willing to spend on like some sort of service, right? And so that was like our first green signal. Then we were like, okay, there's obviously like a bunch of indie hackers that are maybe willing to pay like $20 a month for like a subscription, and like that includes like CapCut templates and like some like other tools. What could we create that maybe we could sell to like some of the bigger dogs at a higher price point, and then just figure out like, what's like the limit that we can essentially sell these services. We ended up selling and creating some handbooks, one priced at like $200 and then one priced at $800. We launched that on Twitter too. And then
What were in the handbook?
it was basically just strategy on like how to create your account, how to warm it up correctly, how to like hack the algorithm so that the videos you post reach like the right target audience, and basically just like a bunch of like little like nuanced things that like to me and Julia, we just already knew because, we've done this a couple of times, but we realized a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
So it's just like some really basic stuff. And so like the first handbook, the cheaper one, contained like some really basic stuff. And then the second handbook contained that plus the strategy if you want to run your own like 10+ ambassador program.
Okay. And so that's how the ambassador program was born?
Right. So we launched those handbooks and they ended up like selling out immediately within like the first couple of days. And we're like, dope. Okay. Like people are willing to pay like high ticket prices for these high ticket items. And then just through that, we got like a lot of inquiries of people asking if we would actually like run the strategies for them. And we're like, okay, this is interesting. And so, we were going to start off as an agency, and the original plan was to actually, pair up one creator to one founder and then kind of just run that model. So if you were an indie hacker, you needed a content creator, you would come to us, we would have somebody on the list, we set you up, take care of payment, everything, and then like they could just run. But
Like Creator X, but for consumer. apps.
Exactly. Except we would like also take care of the strategy.
Oh, sick. Okay. So I just like, if I'm a FlowNote or if I'm like any sort of app, I just come to you and you just like run my marketing basically.
Exactly. And essentially before we launched, we're taking some calls with some potential founders. We ended up getting on this call with this one guy who's also based in LA. I don't know if I should name his name, but he basically has this like finance app. It's like VC backed, has a shit ton of money. He was like, how much would it cost to buy out like all of your creators for a month? And at the time we really only had like 10. But we were like, we have like around 30 and it would maybe cost around like this much. And he was like, okay, like done. And we're like, oh shit. Okay. Like you can actually sell like really high ticket price items to people who have money.
This is so crazy. I just want to pause here for a second. Cause like, okay, you're selling a consumer app. What's the cost for the user for FlowNote? $5 a month?
$20.
Oh, $20. Yeah. Still $20 a month. You have to get, 1,000 users to get to 20,000 MRR. So like, what is the value of, not that like the application doesn't have value, but like this is 1,000, like the distribution where like you're proving to the market, distribution is 1,000 times more valuable than the product.
For sure. Yeah.
That's
Without
insane.
distribution, you have nothing.
Yeah. So sorry. I just wanted to like harp
Yeah.
on that.
No,
like,
dude, that's exactly right, man.
You're selling this humongous big ticket item at $20,000. You're selling a fucking used vehicle,
Dude, it's fucking insane. It's actually insane. And so basically that deal didn't end up working out, but what it did is like it opened our minds to the fact that, okay, maybe we actually like, instead of selling a bunch of these lower ticket items to like a bunch of indie hackers, let's just target the big fish, only have like 3 or 4 clients a month. And it's like less work on us. And it's probably making more money than if we were just to like do a quantity play, right?
Yeah. High margin business.
Exactly. And so, yeah, basically we just kind of came up with like a marketing play. Like me and Julia were just going to double down on marketing, put out like a bunch of tips. And then that was going to lead to our play kit agency, and that's kind of the story of like how it started, and so now we're in it.
So how does the marketing agency do marketing?
Say more.
So, well, I mean, you are the marketing agency, like you're providing, so your strategy is to go after consumers, right? So like your value is in getting 20,000 people to sign up for his app, but you only need a few people to sign up for your platform because you have this big ticket item. It's harder to close a person. Well, okay, it's debatable, but like, is it harder to close one person at 20,000 or 20,000 people at $1, right? So the higher the ticket item, the less demand there is for it potentially.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is like, you can't use your own strategy necessarily to get customers for play kit.
Right. So, I mean,
We could, but I mean, what are you doing, or like, what's the plan to like get customers? Because I was telling you before about like B2B, LinkedIn stuff, like maybe like that's what we're doing, but like maybe it won't work for you. How are you thinking about getting customers? Because you could scale the fuck out of
customers for play kit specifically.
Yeah.
Honestly, Twitter has been working amazing so far. And that just kind of led to like word of mouth. And so that's like all we've been leaning on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fucking brilliant.
That's it.
So
Yeah.
yeah, like that's like the solution. Like,
Yeah, just
we don't even worry about
post on
like,
Twitter.
outbound. Like it's all inbound. Yeah.
It's actually insane because we haven't done like any outbound really since we started. It's just been all inbound. Like within launching, we literally posted like a teaser of the landing page for PlayKit, and we like put like a link to the wait list in there. And within a week, we ended up having over like 300 signups on the wait list, people interested in some like the different tiers we were offering. So it's not 300 people that are all interested in that like 20K
The top tier,
price
yeah.
point, but that were just interested in the service generally.
Yeah.
And so we just took that as a good sign. And in that waitlist survey, we basically asked like what their budget was a month. And so basically we just reach out to the people that have like a larger budget for now and just start with those guys.
Smart. Dude, that's so smart. So it's for consumer app right now, because is that the only playbook that you're running, is like the multi-account UGC stuff? I mean, you just said you have like handbooks and you've got like a bunch of other different strategies to kind of like go viral and like warm up accounts and build up distribution on your own. But is all of that distribution, I guess distribution is sort of like, it can be applied to any sort of business. Where I'm going with this is like, do you see the ability to expand maybe like horizontally across different types of verticals, such as like the stuff that I'm doing, like B2B, like, could I hire you to do stuff for Deal Author if my target demo is like CMO, you know? It's like, they're not on TikTok. How do you find those people? And so, like, I mean, maybe you haven't thought about this because like you just started rolling with it and you're just like crushing now, and you have like a super niche that like has tons of demand, and maybe you don't need to think about this ever. I'm just wondering how you think, you know, how do you see the business in like 5 years, even though it's like just blowing up now?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we could potentially go to B2B. It would have to be a different strategy, different platform, like LinkedIn, for example, could be something we experiment with. I think for now, you know, there's like a ton of demand in the consumer space, so we might just try to like niche down on that.
Do you think about partnering with other apps? Because like you guys, I mean, you guys helped each other. Definitely it was like mutual. Like, do you think about, do you think about partnering with consumer apps? Because for a long time, it was the opposite. It's like, I have a consumer app and I need to partner with the creator. And now it's like, you have the distribution. Do you go and find people to just spin up an app and say like, hey, we can sell anything? So like,
yeah,
do
no,
you,
that's
do
a
you
good
think about
point.
that?
Yeah, I mean, so me and Caleb have something we're gonna work on soon with Julia too, actually.
Like, do you save the sauce for yourself? I guess is what I'm saying, you know?
For this particular thing, we're thinking about it. We're cooking up something. Yeah, we
Yeah.
did
I,
something. Last time I was on this podcast, I was like, we're cooking up something.
That's what Cormac does all the time. It's like, it's like, I've got all this shit going on, but I can't talk about any of it. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, great convo.
We'll tell you after the pod.
Yeah. That's honestly, that's where all the good shit happens. Like, all the good conversations happen off camera.
Yeah, that's true. Need a pendant 24/7 recorded
Yeah.
podcast. Anyway, so like app studio model for
dude,
PlayKit would
yeah,
be
we could
deadly.
definitely do that. So, I mean, a long term idea is like, you know, we do some sort of equity split with founders
Yeah.
that are serious.
Yeah.
And, you know, we pick and choose the apps and the ideas. But yeah, I could definitely see that model working out once like we get to a point where maybe the agency is like working pretty well on its own and we don't got to be like super, you know, hands on with it. Then we can start to maybe create like a separate branch, let the agency run on its own with, you know, these high ticket clients, but then we run a separate branch where it's maybe me and Julia. And then, you know, we essentially like incubate some consumer apps that we think are dope.
Yeah. You pick and choose. Yeah. And then like you go hire a developer to,
Yeah.
spin it up.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a lot of plays. There's a lot of plays.
So give me the lowdown on FlowNote. You used his strategy. We were talking about it this morning, but you know, you were the first client of PlayKit, right? Essentially.
Yeah, not officially, but he was like the guinea pig.
Yeah.
To prove that it worked. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And I want to hear like the details, because like you gave me like the high level strategy of what you do, right? We hired or maybe just give me that right now. Like, what is the nitty gritty of like, you hire for $20,000? What do you get? You get like 10 people and like 20 posts a month or something.
Yeah, so for the 20K price point, you get 10 creators posting 3 videos a day, 5 days a week, which amounts to 600 videos a month. All the creators are doing something called UGC, which just means they will create a separate profile. We'll usually do some research to figure out like what the right naming convention is. But for example, we'll usually do like first name dot either app name or something else, right? And yeah, they all do that. And then we have like a system set up in place where me and Julia come up with the strategy. It's like literally a 3-page like Notion doc, and it has, you know, all of the accounts you should follow to warm up your account, things you should like search in your TikTok search bar and then engage with that content specifically. It has things like, you know, how to like properly name your bio to like traffic people into the app correctly.
So you're doing all this in a Notion doc, getting it organized, and you hand it over to the creators that you've hired, and they've just got the checklist and they just bang it out.
Yeah, I mean, what we're like quickly finding out is the creators, like some of them are good at strategy, but if we left it up to them, it would just be super varied, like what the results would end up looking like. So, you know, essentially, we're just going to take care of all the strategy, tell them exactly what to do, and then they just got to execute. That's their job.
Okay.
Execute. And so, like, with this, like, ambassador program, what we're essentially leveraging is the fact that they are young. A lot of them are in college. And so that's, like, already a huge one up when you're trying to market an app to that demographic. Is like, do they have the same face as me? Do they seem like a similar age to me? yes, okay, I can already start trusting them a little more than if I like saw a 30-year-old man on TikTok advertising consumer app, right?
Of course, yeah.
So that's kind of like our strategy. And then, yeah, we have like a Google Drive system set up so that they submit all their videos before they actually go live. And then me and Julia will actually like review every single video. We're actually setting something up so that we actually have lead creators per project and they actually will start reviewing the videos. So we're starting to build like a top down like tree approach, right? So we don't have to do everything. But yeah, all the videos get reviewed before they go out. We give them all the hooks. So they literally just gotta like copy and paste.
Oh, really? You give them the hooks too?
We give them the hooks. We give them the hashtags. We give them like the songs to use, like everything.
Dude, nice. That makes it super easy. And honestly, then you can hire cheaper talent as well because like they don't have to have any experience whatsoever. You can kind of teach them.
Exactly.
Get a random kid off the street.
Exactly.
You got cool pants or whatever, dude. Just like fucking, you're
That's
in.
it. That's it. So so there's obviously two parts. So there's the business aspect, helping the founders, but we also want to help content creators, but also aspiring content creators. We definitely see PlayKit being as like essentially maybe it's like the go-to job for part-time, students or students that are looking for a part-time gig.
Yeah.
Instead of working at like
Totally.
your Starbucks or your local grocery store, just sign up for PlayKit. If you have like the sauce and you have potential, we'll hire you. You make cash on the side, all while like being in your like
if
dorm
you have
room.
the sauce and you have the potential, we'll hire you. Boom.
If you have
Everybody
sauce.
wants to be in now.
Dude, I mean, content creation, I'm not
But
gonna
if
say
you don't have the
easy.
sauce, dude, if you don't have the sauce,
then go
don't
look at
even
your
bother.
star. Yeah,
Don't even bother.
Go to Starbucks. Go to Starbucks.
go to Starbucks if you don't have the sauce.
So how are you guys finding these college kids, or how are the college kids finding you?
Yeah, main channel is TikTok. So advertising like where they're at, right? So we have a PlayKit, TikTok channel, and then each of us have like our own separate TikTok channels. And we'll just post videos about dope clients we're working with, the results that they're seeing. The Discord, we have like a giant Discord with all these kids. We'll like post like hype screenshots of people like saying super dope things in the Discord and like people hyping each other up. And honestly, just selling like the community aspect, which a lot of kids love.
What's so cool is like you're selling distribution and you're seeing that there's so much demand for distribution that on both angles, you getting the supply of talent, but then also you getting the demand from customers is all inbound because there's so much demand for distribution. People want to participate and people want to like use your product.
Yeah.
It's really awesome.
Like our main selling point to these kids is like, dude, we'll take care of all the contracts. We'll take care of all the outreach, like the pay, everything. Just say you want to work with us. We'll get you set up. We'll literally send the opportunities in a Discord. And if you're interested, just react to the message. And then we'll get you set up in like a matter of days. And then money goes straight to your bank account.
Honestly, it's making me think of app ideas that I want to like partner with you on for equity. I'm like, fuck what I'm doing. I just want to like spin up apps now. Like if there's built-in distribution like this, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, I want to get to like the tactics. So like he outlined the strategy. He's like getting this funnel of talent, and we're doing the fractional ambassador program. You used it, but I want to hear like what specifically were they posting about? What did the content look like? What types of demographics did you guys pick for FlowNote? And then maybe like, I was supposed to do some of this analytic work for you and I couldn't, in terms of figuring out like who was the power user of the app. But
if you still want to do that, though.
I honestly do because it's a cool project. But how did you decide on like who to target? Obviously, like kids. Is it kids that are going to use your app, or is it more like business professionals? So, like, walk me through like the tactics. What were the hooks like for the FlowNote videos?
Sure. So the short answer is that it ended up mostly being students. The long answer is that ideally both. So basically, Julia originally just started posting TikToks herself, and what caught on mostly, she tried going for professionals, right? Using it to record and summarize meetings, and also students for lectures. This was like the two markets. And basically the students popped off a lot more. There's still a lot of like professionals that use it, but the student videos started popping off a little more.
Do we think that was because of the nature of the platform?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. And because it's college kids recording lectures, right? They're all on TikTok.
Yeah.
And basically, once we started getting ambassadors, we started gearing it toward it was college kids being like, I'm recording my lecture, right? It's like college kid to college kid marketing. And that seemed to work pretty well. And so that essentially doubled the MRR in like 1 month, which was insane because a couple of videos went viral just of like random college kids.
And so
yeah.
what was the video content? It was them like just in class being like, hey, I'm recording this lecture.
Honestly, the videos that like people made a variety of videos. A lot of them were just done at home, like recording like a YouTube video they pulled up on their computer and then the FlowNote app. And Julia like refined it a little bit as it went on, where people would start to get better at like showing their face, like a quick hook to get people to watch, right?
Visual
And then it
hook,
would
yeah.
transition into like a product demo. A lot of them were like controversial, like I can't believe my boss doesn't know I'm taking like perfect notes, or like my professor has no idea I'm like taking amazing notes, or like I can't believe I've gone my whole college career without knowing this, right? And then it would just transition. A lot of them too where they didn't even show a product demo. It would just be the video and like a huge thing of text, and then people would comment and be like, what app is that? And then it'd be like FlowNote, FlowNote, FlowNote. And so honestly, it's just experimentation and seeing what works. Some videos that I thought were really good, that did a great job explaining the product and like the benefits, did not go viral. The ones that went viral were like they didn't even seem like they were related to the app, right? It was just
really?
like,
Okay.
like a
Nice.
rant, and then somehow like it would plug FlowNote at the end.
Yeah.
And so I think the trick to good content is there's definitely a big element of luck, but B, also like you need to make it relatable, a relatable video that people want to engage in. If you can create controversy, something related. Basically, if you can control the comment section, you can get distribution.
Oh,
Is
okay.
the way
That's a good tip.
that we
Yeah.
kind of saw it.
Interesting.
And so yeah, that ended up working pretty well. And then it started to slow down a little bit, I think, because class, we were pretty much banking 100% on students at that point. And like, I think classes were starting to, like, it was holiday season, right? And like slow down.
Yeah.
And so we basically just put it on a pause, and now I'm just focusing on product more and going to spin up another plan to go for the professional market,
Okay.
which is a little different. TikTok might be good for it, but it's a little different, right? So basically, yeah, PlayKit worked well. Buy PlayKit. Go on PlayKit if you want to double your MRR. Do it immediately.
Download FlowNote and then go
Download
sign
FlowNote.
up for PlayKit. Get on the wait list for PlayKit
There you go.
because you're not going to get in.
There you go. There
Yeah,
you go.
get on the
Once
wait
you have
list
20K for your
soon
consumer app.
before this podcast blows up.
So, like related to the pricing, we do have some lower tiers, but we try to reserve those for consumer apps that we really want to work with. So, if like you're building something dope and you do want to work with us, reach out via Twitter and then we'll get back to you. But those start at, so those are actually weekly subscriptions. That's $1,000 for one creator, 15 videos a week.
Okay.
That's a weekly.
It's reasonable.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so too.
It's totally reasonable. It's actually like, yeah, super fair price. So tell me a little bit more about product. I just saw your Twitter bio, and you're like scaling to, your goal is to scale to like, what is it? Oh, $5 million exit within 6 months.
$5 million exit within 6 months.
Which is pretty audacious.
Yeah.
Do you want to give numbers? We don't have to give numbers, but.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, to get to 5 million in 6 months, so somebody basically already offered to buy the app, or they were expressed like a lot of interest, like a legit offer, to buy it at 5x ARR. And so to get to 5 million, and so that's just what I'm basing these numbers off of.
Yeah.
Is a 5x ARR, I think is very reasonable.
It's like a modern valuation.
Yeah.
It's like post SERP era valuations. Yeah.
Yeah. And it could be higher, it could be lower, but I think that's like a good metric to go off of. So to get to 5 million, what is that? You need about 80,000 monthly recurring revenue, 80 to 90, right?
Yeah. So it's like, well, I don't want to put words in your mouth of like where you're at right now.
Oh yeah.
Because my next question is gonna be like, how do you scale? Like, what's the product roadmap and what's like the marketing roadmap?
So the scaling from here is like the AI note taker market is actually pretty saturated. Like there's a lot of AI note taker apps out there now.
They're built in. So like, how do you compete with Fireflies or like the stuff that's like built into Zoom now?
Right. And so here's my secret sauce strategy that I haven't seen any AI note taker actually doing well is building it specifically for team. And so essentially you can have shared notes across your team and all your notes in one place. And so whether you're on the go, you're taking in-person meetings, you record it on your phone, or you're recording a meeting on your computer. So the plan is to build a desktop app that auto records all your meetings on your computer with no meeting bots. So it's not like annoying meeting bots. And then essentially you can sync all your team members. If you have an agency, if you have a startup, you're taking client calls. If you're a real estate agency, you can sync all your calls with your team, and everybody has access there. And launching a new feature chat with Note. So like, for example, after this, maybe you're aware, we could be like, okay, what was that thing Nick talked about with like how he got his customers? And it would answer based on the context. From there, just like other AI integrations, like automating email inbound responses and like outbound.
So like an AI agent that will respond, or what do you mean exactly?
Like just like organizational work on a day-to-day, right? Like for people who take a lot of calls, who have a lot of conversations with people, there's so many automations that could be done. And I don't even know what the exact answer for like email is yet.
Yeah.
But I think there's a big play there that like connects with meetings.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we're doing. I've done, a couple email apps now. And email's tricky because there's like domain stuff that you have to deal with and deliverability issues and stuff like that. But and there's a lot of stuff that's just like ingesting emails into some sort of LLM and then just like, organizing them for you.
Pretty much.
My co-founder of Deal Author had a separate app called Claymail, which was like doing exactly that, which was like, hey, we want to be like the unified inbox and we want to analyze all your emails with AI.
Sure.
But it's my pushback on him like months ago. It's like Gmail's just going to build this as a feature. So like, why would we build a separate product for that?
Sure. That's a good point. That's a good point.
But you want to be like, okay, so you're like expanding your product feature set to more professionals and more business development stuff. Yeah,
that's the goal. Because I mean, then you can sign on, big agencies and startups and companies who sign like 100 people, 100-person seats on at once, like sales teams, right? Or like,
so
that's how you scale. And they also have like B2C retention is kind of brutal, especially for like college kids.
Yeah.
The unit metrics are there where it's still profitable with college kids, but the retention is tough.
Do you know your churn rate?
The churn rate is basically 30%.
Okay.
Every month.
Yeah. So it's pretty decent actually.
It's okay, but
for like college kids who probably just like need it for a specific lecture and then like want to delete it or something.
Yeah, it's actually okay. But it makes it tough to like, basically your MRR looks like this. I'll do it for the camera, like it curves off because you hit a point where you have to start acquiring more and more and more users every day to like overcome the retention, if that makes sense.
Yeah, just to remain afloat. Yeah.
Yeah, and so fixing the retention is a huge thing. And I think a desktop app that auto records your meetings and syncing with your team will like fix that. So that's the plan to scale.
Okay. So what about your international plan?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Dude,
so I also do
cool.
have another plan.
That's saucy.
I do have a saucy plan. And right now, literally 95% of the users are just from the United States. And the benefit about being on an iOS app or even just like on an Android phone, Android is not live yet, but is you can just distribute everywhere in the world, right? And Apple will localize it for you. You can like localize everything. And the nature of the app is so good for going international because the AI can listen in any language. It can transcribe and summarize to any language.
Yeah.
And so it's inherently adaptable to any language, right? And so the plan, another plan is basically to just scale, just repeat the same exact strategy.
Do play kit in like
basically,
Italy?
Yeah, basically the plan is to find like one ambassador in like each major speaking country that can like run the campaign there.
Yeah.
And the reason you need to do that is because TikTok will literally, if you're in the United States, they will, and you create a video, they'll distribute only to the United States for the most of the time. I think there's a few exceptions.
Yeah.
But you need to find regional people to do it for you.
Yeah.
And so this is going to be a challenge to overcome. But like,
yeah, they have to actually be in.
I was just in Brazil for 3 months and like nobody's using AI note takers there, right? Like I was just in Italy too. People are not using, like, it's just not a market there. Like AI note takers here are common and people are like, okay, cool. Like there's a ton of AI note takers. People just kind of pick one from the market, right? And
I mean, they're
there's
not
a
really doing any sort of business in Europe. You know, they're just like
true,
sitting
true. They're not
around
doing anything seriously anyway.
sipping cappuccinos.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So, well,
But
there's I've done, you know, like the past decade, like been in like international sales. You know, it's like part of my
oh,
analytics
sick.
job. But like the dollar, you know, is pretty strong compared to everybody else, and there's a lot of fluctuations. And so, like
Yeah.
$20 consumer app to anyone in Europe, or honestly, like Japan and Korea as well. Like those currencies have been devalued quite a bit over the past couple years,
Sure.
and like $20 is going to be super expensive for
Yeah.
a consumer app.
So there's a way you can adjust it per region.
Okay.
And I mean, the plan is to target more affluent countries first. Like,
course, yeah.
for example, the Swiss franc is
Yeah.
actually stronger than the US dollar. Like,
Yeah.
the US dollar is like, the Swiss franc is what, like 1.3 US dollars. So basically, and like people in Switzerland work hard.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah.
Target
There's
like Switzerland, Germany, maybe go after like France, mostly the European countries. And I also think places in Asia are quite interesting, in Japan.
you're going to
Yeah.
find the same thing if you look at it's called like the Gini coefficient, GINI. It's basically the measure of like how unequally the wealth is distributed in that country.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like kind of like a fucked up metric, but like the more the money sort of like compounds at the top, the richer that country is, and the more affluent people are going to be in that country. So it's like, it kind of makes sense, but like, you know, the less equal the country is, the better you are at trying to like service that country. So like go to Wikipedia, like, you know, sort by Gini coefficient in descending order, and like that's your target list.
Okay. Can you like target that on meta ads somehow too?
Yeah, I mean, they're just countries. Oh, like
The coefficient.
No, you can't plug in the Gini coefficient
Oh, man.
in meta ads. That'd be sick, though.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like in Brazil is generally not, they don't have as much money generally.
No, but
because, I mean,
Brazil's
divide by 5.
very high on the Gini coefficient.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
they have an extreme wealth gap in
Yeah.
Brazil. And so like it can still succeed in a country like Brazil, for example.
Yeah. So I want to push on the transition, because like that, the international part sounds really cool to me. But you're going from consumer to like B2B SaaS, essentially, is like your strategy.
Yeah.
And so like,
Yeah.
how did you decide that you wanted to do that? Are there any like market indicators? Because I think it's obviously a different strategy, but like if you're gonna maybe get your opinion too, like, because your like PlayKit is designed to service consumer apps, like just by its nature. And I already asked you the question like earlier, like, you know, how would you service like a business? And you're like, I'm not even thinking about it. But how do you have to like completely change your marketing strategy, your videos, your copy, like your landing page, the way that you talk about it, and then are you pushing away all the consumers that you already like? Are you gonna like
No. So
lose?
the inspiration is actually Notion. I believe Notion started as a single player note-taking tool just for the individual consumer, and they just made it really good. And then one day they're like, hey, you can actually share these notes with your team, right? And it's like a natural, smooth transition. And so the plan is to be both single player and multiplayer at the same time if you want to be.
Okay.
And I predict that like the multiplayer will take over eventually. And now if you look at Notion's landing page, it's geared towards startups and teams and everything, right? So that's the main inspiration and plan for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Notion. All right. Shout out Notion.
Shout out Notion.
Notion fucking rules, man.
Yeah.
I do like all my writing on Notion. It's
Yeah.
just like you just open up Notion. You got notes, you got essays, you've got like team collaboration docs. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. It's good. So the idea is to be like a different type of like an AI first note taking tool, right?
Yeah.
And I think things are going to happen in the next couple of years that we don't even know about. And my theory is as long as I stay on top of this game, right, and just think of what a note-taking tool can be from like an AI first point of view, like a large company can be created.
Yeah. All right, dude. That's sick. You guys both have some cool ass shit going on. Yeah. And I can't wait to hear more about it. And like, I'm going to use both of your services.
Yeah. I'll send you guys a share link.
Yeah.
You can share your notes on the internet after with all the speaker transcriptions and everything and play it back. I'll send you guys a link after.
Anything else you guys want to like plug or like chat about?
Dude, I'm curious to hear about.
Yeah.
Like
Deal author?
I understand. Yeah, I understand. Deal is it deal or deal author?
Deal author.
Deal author.
Deal
Okay.
author.
I'm curious, like how I could use it with like my situation, or if you think.
Yeah. So I think it is, but you have a lot of inbound already. Like maybe you don't need it, but and then maybe your target demo doesn't have emails, so maybe it's like not applicable. But we can tell that in a second. So basically, Deal Author automates influencer brand deals, and so we're starting from only the brand side, where we represent the brand as an agent. You sign up for Deal Author, you get your own personal agent that represents you, and it's sort of taking the role of an influencer marketing manager or an influencer marketing admin. And the brunt of that work is sourcing all of the people that you want to potentially do business with. Like there's millions of influencers out there, and you can only work with so many. So you go and you get your list of 1,000 of them, and then you have to do the outreach, and then you have to do the negotiations, and then you have to, once you finalize the terms, you have to like fill out the contracts, and then you've got to do the billing. And so that's a lot of administrative work to sign a creator for like a $100 UGC post, right? And right now we see that macro influencers are going away. Nobody trusts the person with 1 million followers to do a branded deal, because it's just like, whatever, you're just like, it's a money grab and nobody cares about it. But so right now it's all about the micro or the nano, which means that influencer brand deals are a volume play. Like you see, like with PlayKit, like you're not doing one UGC creator for a reason. There's the reason you're doing 20 of them. And so this is what all brands inherently know, that now that it's like, it's a volume game. And so I need 30 posts a month, let's say, and maybe I want them across 10 different people. And so to get that, you have to get any one creator, you probably have to send 100 emails. You might have a 1% hit rate if you're, not that great of a brand. Not everyone's, like a top brand. So you're competing over these people. So it's a massive amount of outreach to get like a little bit of creator love, and everybody's doing it. It's a huge problem in the industry, and it's just millions and millions of man hours spent doing this like shit that an AI should be doing. And so we just built an AI to do that work specifically. Now we see network effects, because eventually we want to represent the influencers as well, the creators. So every time we blast 1,000 creators with like a Deal Author agent, well, it says Deal Author, in like the email signature. And so the creator sees that, and then maybe they check us out, and it's, instant marketing for us that, oh, as a creator, this company will represent me, and now I can have my own AI agent to go out and get me brand deals, right? Now, right now we're starting with only from the brand side, and we're starting only with email, because that's how modern, bigger organizations run their business. And because these creators, they all have their Gmail or their business email in their bio anyway. Now for like super smaller stuff, when you're hiring, 20-year-old kids to do UGC videos for you and get them into your pipeline, they don't have emails in their bios, I'm assuming. Yeah. So you're DMing them directly on these platforms. So that is sort of the next step, is, getting some integrations into these platforms. I don't know how that's going to work. Slack is another way. Like
You can connect your TikTok. Log in with TikTok and have it DM for you, I think, right?
Yeah. But I don't know. I haven't played around with the TikTok API that much, but you do have to get them to log in.
The creator
To log in.
That's true. That's true.
To like get them into the network. I'm not sure, but like whatever. That's like many steps down the road. So for you to use our service right now, you would have to target more micro influencers who are actually like calling themselves creators and openly looking for business, versus like you're convincing the kid off the street to like, don't work at Starbucks, work for me, which I love. But that's, you're one step below. Like what's below Nano? Pico.
Pico.
You're doing like Pico creators. So if we could convince people to like, hey everybody, like put your Gmail in your bio, then you're open for business. I don't know, like we're not going to get to that place, but so anyway, we're servicing brands who are already making millions of dollars a year, and they need marketing. They don't have huge budgets, so they want to do like micro nano influencers. They obviously would rather spend on the influencers than spend on the admin to get the influencers. So it's just like, a little niche of the marketing industry that we're automating away, and it leaves more time for strategy discussions, like what do we want these people to post about versus just like the constant admin bullshit.
Right. Yeah. No, that's interesting because what we're kind of noticing is we're having a higher success rate when they actually reach out to us first versus us DMing a bunch of these kids. So the way it'll usually work is we'll post a TikTok video saying like we're hiring for some opportunities, and then people reach out to us via DMs or comment. But I wonder if there's a way to just like plug an email in our bios and then just have everybody apply through that email.
Yeah.
But then maybe that's where deal comes in and essentially can like vet through all the applications through the email and then start negotiating. We're getting like the information.
No, like, so that's exactly right. So like you can have it be, I honestly didn't even really think of it this way because by nature, we're dealing with outbound. Like we have an outbound problem and we're trying to solve that outbound. And you're like, bro, I got so much inbound. I don't know what to do with it.
That's the problem. Yeah. For us,
So
we
like,
have an inbound problem.
but of course it can work the opposite way and
Yeah.
solve inbound. Yeah. And it's like, if you,
It's
like,
the
you don't,
ultimate platform.
yeah, you don't have time to like, you have thousands of people messaging me like, I want to like join the app, and you need to like onboard them. It's like super easy. It's actually way easier because you're sending the same message to everybody. Just email me, here's your onboarding template, answer these questions. We'll put you into like, I don't go direct to like the Discord server, or maybe, I don't know what type of parameters would you use to evaluate them up front? Or would you just want everyone to like give you the proper information and like onboard everyone and like evaluate them later?
No, we'd probably want to evaluate them up front. We're trying to keep the Discord like really tight to just absolute ninjas, right? Like we don't want to mess around with anybody that's not worth,
Of course, yeah.
the time, I guess. So there would be some sort of like vetting process where it's either like upload a video and then we can kind of like analyze the video. Maybe, AI could analyze video for us and be like, okay, yeah, it actually checks off these things that we're looking for.
So close. We're so close to that. Yeah.
Then they like automatically get admitted into the Discord. We like have to like manually set them up through Gusto, which is like what we're using for payroll. So if we could automate that, that would be amazing. Yeah, it's like super manual right now, but the key is definitely just have a system where they just keep applying, we just keep vetting, and then just keep adding to the Discord, and it just happens automatically, right?
I feel like this is the future of business, or this is the way like tech has been operating for a long time, which is like there's like a group of friends, and it's like this guy built Stripe, and then this guy has like whatever, like some HR platform, and we're gonna make the HR platform directly integrate with Stripe, so that like it works seamlessly together, and like the ecosystem, then you have your ecosystem, I have my ecosystem, and then they gravitate together. And it's like, well, now if you want to like operate with this core group of businesses, you have to use Stripe and like whatever the HR platform is, and then you like start connecting more to it. It's sort of like with like coding, and everything's on like Next.js, Vercel. Like everyone's starting to like gravitate towards the same tools, Supabase, right?
Yeah.
And like those companies just start to get like this momentum, this gravity around them. Yeah, the halo effect, the network effect.
Yeah.
And so it's like connecting businesses together.
Yeah, there's a huge opportunity, and like truthfully, the space is so early. It's starting to speed up, but there's definitely a ton of opportunity.
Do you look at competitors, and do you analyze competitors who are running the play kit strategy or like the fractional ambassador strategy?
Maybe we just haven't done enough research, but I do not know of any other agencies running fractional ambassador programs.
Not agencies, definitely, because I don't think there are, because this is so new. But like other companies, like all I know is like Airbuds, and there's like some skin, there's like some sunshine lotion thing.
Yeah, so anybody that I do know is running this, it's like internal.
Raise?
Yeah.
It's not really an ambassador. They're doing something else.
Didn't
they like steal? Talk about it.
Oh
no! I mean, it doesn't matter.
I think they took. We could talk about that, but I think they basically just took like 10 girls.
But they like stole their photos.
They would steal clips of just 10 girls online and then stitch it with like a demo of their video or their app.
Yeah.
and
I
then
mean, yeah.
essentially create ghost accounts for these girls. So it was all run by the same person.
So it was like a fake fractional ambassador program.
That's what they were doing. They were doing fake
Yeah.
fractional ambassador programs. Yeah.
But do you
It actually worked.
I mean, yeah, I saw the stats. I was like, fuck, that was a good idea.
Yeah, it did
Yeah.
work. It did
But
work.
kind of shady. Like, actually very
Yeah,
shady.
It's pretty shady,
ethical,
but
I don't know.
Probably
but
illegal.
yeah, it worked for those guys. But yeah, a lot of like internal apps are doing fractional ambassador programs for sure.
Would you want to, I'm just going to throw this out there. Like I mentioned this to you before, like I wanted to run your strategy on LinkedIn. I wanted to do the Airbud strategy. I told this to Cormac months ago. Like I want to do the Airbud strategy on LinkedIn. And I tried to do it myself. I spun up a bunch of different accounts, but like it got shut down. And how could I hire you to to tell these kids to like, who are still in school, they don't have LinkedIn. Like just sign up on LinkedIn.
No.
Say that you're an ambassador. Like literally, I'm just an ambassador at Deal Author, and my job is to make videos. And here I am making videos on LinkedIn.
Yeah, that would probably be the move. So what we're actually having these kids do, which is kind of similar, but in order to help with like the inbound of just finding more content creators, we're having all the kids add on LinkedIn that they're working for PlayKid, and then we're giving them a script to post on LinkedIn about like this new job that they're doing, and then all like the offerings, and then they're just reaching other kids by doing that.
Fucking genius.
So we could do something exactly similar to that.
That's awesome. Love that. Cool, dudes. Well, maybe wrap here. Like this was a great conversation. I'm so glad that you guys are crashing here in the meantime.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally cool.